Hi, thank you for joining us. I'm here with Pastor Chad, lead pastor here at Freedom Life Church, and we're following up on this week's message. It was the kickoff of a new series, Galatians.
Cleverly titled.
We
really thought hard about
Galatians, yeah. Normally, I would tell people if you missed it, go on the app or the Facebook page or the website and find it there. You can still do that. However, in this particular case, I would say if you could find a time machine and go back to Sunday, it was an amazing service the whole way through.
Yeah, all the way through, yeah.
It was really, really good. But we had a lot going on this week, so let's just jump into it. Was there anything that you had to leave out of this first message of the series?
Yes. I left out one other. We talked true gospel versus some false gospels, because that's how Paul opens the book, and really it's a lot. The whole book of Galatians is kind of this really great, redirecting the church. The church of Galatia. It's kind of redirecting them and helping them to kind of get locked back in. So we talked a lot about some just false gospels in our culture. And so, one thing that I did that was different is I did talk about universalism, like a universal kind of gospel, but I called it, the love only gospel, that God just loves, and so everybody's going to be okay. Well, that's universalism. I had somebody mention that to me, like, were you talking about universalism? I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I was talking about. I just thought it'd be more fun to make it, the love only gospel that's there. But the one thing that I did touch on towards the end of the message, I just kind of threw it in there as we got closer to, response time, ministry time at the end. But I was originally going to do it in the list of gospels that we talked about. I was going to talk moralistic gospel, meaning work-based salvation, meaning you can work for your salvation, and you can, if you're just good, if you're a good person, then you'll be cool with God. But the reason why I didn't do it wholesale in the list is really that's what the Galatians are actually struggling with very directly, is kind of a work-based, do certain things, and then you will, earn in the flesh what was given in the spirit, is what he'll say later on, chapter 3 and things like that. So we'll talk more and more about that. We're going to have to mention that reality multiple times, even as we're walking through chapter 1. It's already coming up. And so he's talking about it a lot. So I just kind of left that one. I mentioned it towards the end. Like I said, I felt like I needed to, because again, it's such a big part of where Paul is going with everybody. But we didn't stop and directly, I had it in there and then decided to take it out, just because we're going to talk more specifically about that particular kind of contrary gospel, that speaks something different. What I will say, one interesting thing that I had was a question afterwards by, wonderful lady in our church. She started talking to me about, because we talked about self-help gospel, just think positively and then you'll become who you need to be, which sounds good, but in reality is deceptive.
Yeah.
And so that even if you were to think positively and become a better version of you, that better version of you still won't be enough.
Yeah.
And, or at the very least, you'll trade one sin for another sin. So you'll trade, the sin, whatever you're dealing with that you're positively thinking and getting yourself out of, you'll just trade that for pride when you can say, I got myself out of that.
Yeah.
I no longer am held in this addiction, because I, was positive and, made myself feel better, But her question is where does that land in the scope of like Christian-based counseling and things like that? Because counseling can kind of have a little bit of an edge that helps you, process and things like that. And my quick answer was, I'm all about Christian-based counseling. I mean, which really, counseling in general can have a value for sure. But to me, that's two totally different things.
Yeah.
To get counsel or get advice or get guidance from someone, and certainly if it's Christian-based, that should mean it's biblically based. And if it's biblically based, that should mean it's gospel based. I mean, it should be that everything's kind of filtered through the gospel in that counselor's mind. They're thinking that. So if you're struggling with hurt and that's created unforgiveness, well, they're working in their mind. They may not have a Bible out on their lap and preaching you a sermon, because that's my job, right? And so, but a lot of times I look at people and go, hey, I can give you pastoral guidance here. I can give you some advice. I can show you scripture and help you kind of walk through something. But have you ever considered professional counseling? Because sometimes that goes beyond where I feel like I'm trained. They're professionally trained to see things from a different, and I try to learn that. I try to learn from them, ways to ask questions, ways to get you to process. And so they may not have a Bible out on their lap, but they're thinking, okay, forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Why is that important? Okay, forgive as your Father has forgiven you. Well, how did he forgive you? Through Jesus, the gospel. Hello, we're there, so we're starting to press. They're pressing that way. Their heart is set on this kind of gospel principle, but they may not, again, preach a sermon to you, because that's not their job. Their job is to counsel you. So that's different than self-help. Yeah. Self-help is you can just, self-actualize. You can just be self-reliant, and I can pull myself up by my own bootstraps. And fix what's gone wrong in me. And the Bible will tell you that's just not true. You don't even have any bootstraps, which doesn't even make sense, to be honest. Yeah. I've never seen anybody pull themselves up by bootstraps. And so, that's just not possible. Right. But it sounds good. That's probably the one that sounds the best in regard to fixing issues. Of course, we talked about prosperity gospel, and that sounds really great just because you're meant to get a lot of wealth on this earth and never be sick, and yet, you see so many go bankrupt and get sick, despite the fact of their, so-called, profession of faith in Jesus. And so, so we did talk about that, but, the self-help thing, she had it was a really great question. Her thought was just, where does that land? And so I thought I'd mention it here, because it was such a great question that, it's totally different. It's really different. To seek wise biblical counsel is good. The Bible would instruct us to do that and receive it, take that in, that advice, that counsel, that guidance, take that in, and then begin to implement some of those things. But Christian faith is indicating it's going to be biblical. It's going to be gospel-based. It may not sound like a sermon. It may not be a Bible verse, but it's going to be rooted and grounded in biblical principles that are going to help us walk through it. But then that's no longer self-help. You've got a brother or sister in Christ that's helping you. And so that's community. That's what that looks like. So, but self is,
which in itself is biblical.
Which is biblical. Yeah. I mean, that's the idea, is that even her asking the question to me is coming to me as her pastor and saying, help me understand that. Okay, well, we're doing, something that's very community based. That's biblical for us to sharpen one another, to talk, discuss, learn, grow. And that's just totally different than you can, again, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, dust your own self off, and make yourself a better version of you. Well, that's just not enough. That's the deception. That's the lie in that gospel that sounds good. It gets people really, fired up. It's very pep rally. You can do this. Well, I got news for you. You can't do this. You can't do this. Yeah. And so that's the message of the gospel. And so, because we're constantly telling people, you can do this. Well, I understand what we mean, and I'm not trying to mess people up, even as Christians. Hey, you can make it. You can make it. I understand what we mean, but sometimes I try to be very specific that if I'm going to tell somebody you can do this, it's going to be, you can do this because Christ is in you. I want to point out the reality of where the strength comes from, where the transformation comes from, where the crushing of sin comes from, and all of that. Where the mending of brokenness comes from. I want to point him out. I want to make it about him. That's one thing that we haven't mentioned yet in the text, is that when he opens his letter, like pretty much every other letter, he mentions himself, but he mentions another person a whole heck of a lot more than himself. Yeah. And it's Jesus. He mentions Jesus every sentence almost has something to do with Jesus. And I think that that's a powerful reality that I actually failed to mention on Sunday, so I'll throw that in here as well. He mentions Jesus at every turn. even through the short text that we read out of Galatians on Sunday. I mean, it's amazing. And so that's where I want to go. So I constantly want to point people to, you can't do that. You can't. Because if you buy the lie that, man, I'm going to buck up and take care of this, you're going to fail, and it's not going to be good. Or maybe what would be worse is, like I said, you'll accomplish it and then still not see Jesus at all. That would be maybe the more scary thing, is that you'll take the self-help tip and the self-help book and then you'll actually muscle it up enough and get it done. And then you'll think that that you're saved, or that you saved you. And then you'll say things like little nuances, little quips like, and praise Jesus, I'm different, but you really have no relationship with him, and none of the transformation came from him. And that's a problem. Yeah. If we don't go to him, that's an issue. So, I thought it was a great question, but again, we didn't mention the moralistic gospel. So we'll talk about that later as well, because it's super destructive.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I thought it was a great way to kind of kick off the series. I know she didn't mention how long it was going to be, but not as long as Exodus was all you gave us, but that's fine. But, as I love Galatians, as a parent, you kind of feel the frustration, the same frustration as, because there was a lot of deep sighs and head shakes that went into writing that letter. But,
which we had fun with that idea in the very beginning, but you're right.
But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to where we're going with this. But we had another big aspect of this week's service.
Yeah.
It was the 1st of March, and so it was the kickoff of the Jeremiah Project.
Yes.
And you kind of went into a little more detail about that and let everybody know kind of what actually the needs are. Yes. And do you want to expand on that here?
Yes, that would be great. If you weren't there, we really got a heart towards the end of last year just about what it looks like for us as a church in our city, in our community, and being a church that, as Jeremiah would put it, from God to his people. He spoke through Jeremiah in Jeremiah 29. Verse 7 is really the big one. Seek the welfare of the city. Like, this isn't your home, but I want you to seek its welfare. I want you to make this place a better place to be. Pray for it, because in its welfare is your welfare. Yeah. And so really, I think God kind of just really ignited our heart as a church to say, we want to figure out how we can do that. And so the Jeremiah Project has been a labor of love over really the past year and a half. It's been something that we've been wanting to do, but really seeking wisdom on how we wanted to approach it, and really wanting all of us as a community of faith called Freedom Life Church, for all of us to really be on board. So I think it was one of those things that was just waiting for our series we did at the end of last year, the For the City series, that really just set in place this intrigue of how can we do that as a church. And so now we're here. We're here at the fruition of what this looks like. So Jeremiah Project this year is really geared towards TK Ranch. We're partnering with TK Ranch. If you don't know a lot about them, I'm not going to spoil a lot of stuff here, only because I would just invite you to be here next Sunday, because the plan is we're going to have Ryan and Elizabeth Dunn, the directors and administrators of TK Ranch, in this room with us next week, and I'm going to get a chance to kind of introduce the church to them, and to listen to their heart about the way they minister in their particular arena of ministry, in their particular area of our community. To hear them talk about it, I can't do it justice. Yeah. So to have them here is just going to be a blessing. I mean, they are a gift to our community. What they're doing is amazing, and really their legitimate heart and call to what they're doing is pretty clear, pretty evident, and also they're just wonderful people, So sitting down with them and talking through, what are your needs, what are you doing, and so so they just started going down the list, and so anyways, we put that list up on Sunday. I think we're going to try to work it into different videos this week as well, just so that everybody can see it. We've got cards at the Connect Center where you can see some of the needs. They've got a lot of facility needs where facility stuff isn't working. They've got a huge air conditioner need, and so our goal is is to raise about $5,000, and I just think our God is so big, and our church is so amazing, and we're just full of generous people that I have a feeling that we may go beyond that, but that's our goal, and so we want to hit that goal, and I think it's stretching us as a church, just because this is new. This is new to what we do as a church, and so. But I'm super excited about that goal, and that money is going to go to things like helping to facilitate new showers in a dorm that's desperately needed. They've got flooring issues. They've got a lot of just basic structural repair stuff that we're going to be doing as well. And then, like I said, air conditioner unit issues for their gymnasium, and it's not just gymnasium, but it's like a common space. It's a fellowship space. I think it's where they eat. Their lunches and their dinners are in that room. So they've got some issues there that a lot of that money is going to go towards and help us to get what we need to get those things taken care of. But then we're also not just going to throw money at it. We want to partner with them, not only with our pocketbooks, but we want to partner with them as brothers and sisters in Christ. And so we're going to get out there and we're going to have some dates in the future that we can talk about and let people know that we're going to show up this day and here's the projects we're going to work on. There's electrical work. There's, landscaping work that needs to be done. I mean, there's all kinds, there's painting, there's repairs, there's so many things.
A lot of that stuff's something anybody can do.
Most of it, to be honest, is if you can use a paintbrush, you're in. I mean, there's some electrical work that obviously I'm not going to do because, I love Jesus. I'm ready to go home, but I don't know that I want to go home that way. And so we've got some professional people in our church that, man, we've got a lot of guys that got a lot of skills, a lot of good things. And so we need people like that have really specialized skills that are skills that nobody else can do. But we've got a list of things that, you know what, if you say, I've got no skills, come out, we'll find you something to do, because there's things that anybody can be a part of. And there's going to be somebody there that will help you know what you're supposed to do and things like that, and kind of show you how to do whatever it is that's in front of you. And so this is for everybody. And so we're looking for ways to even get our Freedom Kids involved, our FLC students involved, and then just our church as a whole. And then our partnership doesn't end with TK when March is over. Like, see ya, maybe in a couple years we'll do another Jeremiah project with you guys. Our partnership is the plan is that we're going to continue to partner with them on a regular basis on some level, and there's some really wonderful ways that I think we're going to get a chance to do that are real simple, that really will just take a little bit of effort from us, and I think it's a really beautiful thing. So I'm really excited about it, and I don't know if we can link it to this video or not, but you can start. If you're out there and you're listening and you come to Freedom Life Church and maybe you missed this week, but you come here, or maybe you just listen to the sermon online and you don't even come here, you can be involved and give towards that goal. So maybe we can just put a link there of, you can give online and give on the app, and or you can just send something in. If you mail something into the church, just mark it Jeremiah Project in the memo line, or JP or something on there, just indicating, or on the envelope or something. Let us know that that's what it's for, and then we'll put that towards that project and towards that goal. So whenever you go online or through the app, you just click on the fund, and it's a little drop-down window, and it'll say Jeremiah Project 2020 on that drop-down, and you can just select that. So if we could put that up, that would be great, because if you want to be involved in it, we want anybody and everybody to be involved with it. And then stay tuned for hearing from Ryan and Elizabeth, next week, talking about it, and because I'm just super excited about what they're doing, and then how we can, as a church, kind of come alongside them and
this
be a part
is
of it.
This is just one of the many things we've got going on this month too.
Yes.
March is going to be very busy for us.
It's so full.
So we've got the Jeremiah Project going on.
Yes.
Got the new Galatians series.
Yes.
But we're also kicking off the FLC men,
Yes.
FLC women in a few weeks.
Super excited.
We've still got life groups and FLC students and Freedom Kids.
We have a welcome home event for new people, and on the 29th, that Sunday, you know, if you've been new around the church, we've got that going on. So we've got a lot of stuff.
I think I said last week or week before, it's hard to be bored here.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a way for you to get involved. If you can't figure it out, ask.
Yeah.
Somebody can help you.
Yeah.
But again, if you missed this week's message, check it out online, on the app, the link below this on Facebook. We try to make it easy.
Yeah.
But again, we've got so much going on and you don't want to miss it. So make sure that you're here this Sunday, 10:30, and we will see you there.
Yeah. See you.